This is my first actual request video. Freakin Jason Stokes wanted me to teach you or show you and explain to you how I sharpen my knives and why I sharpen them the way that I do. First and foremost, a couple of things you're going to need is you're going to need a Facebook account, and you're going to need to know who Joshua Bryant at Arkansas Infidel is, because that's usually where I get my knife sharpened. No, I'm kidding, but that's a plug. I actually did get most of my... When you see me show a knife and it has a freaking polished edge on it, if I could find one, I use them all. If you see any of my knives that have a polished edge on them, that was him. I sent them out. He sent them like a week later, and they were freaking razor sharp. That's not what this video is about. A couple of things that you need first is you need your knife, obviously, because you're not sharpening a knife unless you have a knife. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and sharpen this one. Then you're going to need a stone. I happen to have a double-sided stone with a medium 1,000 grit side and a fine 6,000 grit side, which I had sitting in water for about 20 minutes. You have to soak these first, otherwise they'll just dry out, and then it'll just make your metal real hot. You don't want to do that because that'll actually ruin your edge. They make stones that are single, like has one grit, and then they make double-sided like this one with two different grits, and then they make three-sided stones. I use, this is some freaking steel, like CR something or another. Global likes to use it. It's essentially equivalent to VG10, is what I've learned. It's easier to remember VG10. It's a softer steel, so I have to use ceramic stones. Japanese steels are notorious for that. They use a softer steel that requires more meticulous maintenance. Your German steels, you can use the standard stones, which tend to not get as fine grit as these, and they're a little more not as picky about what you do with them. Anywho, so we've got the knife, we've got the stone, and then you need sharpening steel. This one is a global one. It's diamond infused because it's global. I actually need to get some of the grit out of it so I can use it. Okay, so what we are trying to accomplish here, as much as you want to think we're going to get a razor's edge doing this, we're not going to get a razor's edge doing this. You have to understand very fundamental blade edge working. When you use a stone is not perfectly smooth. It has very fine grits in it. Like, you know, sandpaper, this is 1,000 grit, this is 6,000 grit. They get up to like 20, I've seen 24,000 grit stones. You use those for straight razors. I'm not doing that with this. I'm doing a pretty mild, like workable edge kind of thing. Anywho, in the edge, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create these things called micro serrations. They're going to look kind of like this, but they're very, very small. So small, in fact, you cannot see them. When you do this, from my old video, you're looking for an edge that looks kind of like that. This says times 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd magnification. If you can identify that, that gives you awesome nerd points. I just didn't really feel like doing a actual calculation for this. But you're looking for an edge that looks like this. This is what you're trying to accomplish. The exact wrong thing you're looking for is something that looks like this. See how the edge is not even? The serrations are nowhere near in the same direction, anything like that. So we're trying to accomplish this. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see it because they're very, very small. So you have your knife, you have your stone, and you have your sharpening steel. The first thing you want to do is you're going to have to give you a crotch shot here. is you're going to want to orient this in a direction that you're comfortable with. I think my counter's a little slick for this too. If you have slick counters, like this is supposed to have a stopper or a rubber bottom on it that's supposed to keep it from sliding, but this is some weird material that doesn't really want to hold. So all I'm going to do is an old cutting board trick. I'm going to take a towel that's wet, I'm going to lay it down, and that'll keep it from sliding with minimum pressure. I like to keep mine like this. You'll see a lot of people who hold their like this. I like keeping mine like this. It doesn't matter which way you orient this. Try to move this over a little bit. It doesn't matter which way you orient this, because it's really up to you as to what direction you want to go. If you want to go up and down or left and right, it doesn't really matter. I like mine like this. All right, so we've got this oriented. The next thing you want to do is take your knife, and you want to decide right now which direction you want to go in. Do you want to go with the blade, or do you want to go against the edge, or do you want to go with the edge? It doesn't really matter which way you go, but keep in mind you have to go the same direction, because you want all of your serrations to end up even and in the same direction, and not like this. All right, you don't want them all cockeyed. So we've decided which way we're going. We're going to go this way, because this is easier for me to demo. I usually actually sharpen my blades like this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and sharpen them like this. Now you want to figure out. Okay, so we've got orientation, direction, and angle. That's what it is. You want to figure out where your angle is. Most knives that come out of the factory are between 30 and 33, 35 degrees, something like that. Globals, I think, come out at like 20 degrees, which is pretty extreme. Like this is about a 35 degree angle, and that's about a 20. I don't think you can see that from that angle, but that's about a 30 degree angle. That's about a 20 degree, well, no, actually that's about a 30 degree angle. That's about a 20 degree angle. I've seen people sharpen their knives down to 18 degrees, which is ridiculous. That's what I did with this knife. That's why it's all jacked up like that. But like I said, if you watched my other video about knives, you know that these are wedge ground, so you can actually lay the knife completely. When you get them, you can lay them completely flat on the edge and just go, because it's all the same. It's the same angle all the way through. It's not a double bevel. But we're doing this for people who own standard kitchen knives, which are double bevel. Anyway, so now we've got our angle, right? What you want to do is go with it and make sure you make even strokes. And make sure you count. See, I did that 5 times. So now I got to go over and do my other angle. Five times. Generally speaking, if your knives are really, really, really bad, I don't let my knives get that bad. This is actually pretty fine grit for German steel, but this is pretty medium grit for Japanese steel. If you have a knife that's really bad, you're going to want to use a coarser grit first, because what this is going to do is going to allow me to to kind of refine my edge a little bit more. The coarser grit actually helps you to form the edge to begin with. So you might need to go through more stages in this, but this is real quick. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down, and I'll answer those. I'm going to go 5 more times. And with this stone specifically, if I went with, it would leave, I'll use my paring knife. So if I go with, you can see the red. This is actually getting dry. I don't think I let it soak long enough. You'll see the red come off which is fine. You actually want that because that actually helps to work your edge a little bit better. So now I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to do the same thing this way. I know you can see that. That's all metal. But now you can start to get, this is the last stage of a 3-stage setup, which is what's pretty average. Mine's just a 2. Some people who are actually make knives for a living and sharpen knives for a living have like 10 stages. But I'm only doing a 2-stage stone. So this is actually the last stage I would use. And generally speaking, for every single stage you go, then the next finer stage is going to be double. So if I had a coarse, a medium, and a fine, I would do 5 coarse, example. Like I would do 5 on coarse, you'd actually keep going until you start getting an edge. I would do 10 on medium, and then I would do 20 on fine. You can go more on fine, because what the fine does is it lets you kind of refine your edge even more. So now I'm done with that. I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to wipe it down. Now I'm going to take my steel, and there's an important, I'm going to move it back. There's an important thing you have to understand about the way a steel works. With a stone, it's reinforced by the board or whatever your counter space. That's what's holding it in place. With this, it's your other hand. Your other hand isn't very stiff. It likes to move around a lot. So what you need to do is you need to make sure you get a hold of this thing, like you're going to beat your child, like your naughty child or your dog or something with it. You're going to grab a hold of it. You can take your knife and you're going to do the exact same thing as you did with the stone. You're not going to change direction like you saw me go with the blade, not against it. All right? So I'm not going to go this way. I'm not going this way. I'm going this way. Hold the same angle. Right? This is always a complicated part. Usually with this, you'll hit like, you'll probably do, generally speaking, between 40 and 60 swipes to get what you're looking for. These are, like I said, these aren't razor edge. I'm not going to shave with them. Ooh, look, my arm's bald. But I'll take a piece of paper and I'll cut the piece of paper with it. They couldn't do that before. I'm not cool like Arkansas Findell, and I can't, you know, I'm not awesome like that, but you get the idea. Like, this is significantly sharper than it started, and that's what we're going for. Man, now I'm kind of disappointed with myself. Like, I know I can't push cut this, but you'll feel the teeth, the bite in it. Anyway, thanks to Jason Freakin Stokes, I took the time out of my day to teach you guys how I sharpen knives. I need to find a piece of food to cut with it. Cutting paper sucks. I got you. Freaking romaine. My dogs hear lettuce hitting the ground. My dogs actually do eat lettuce. I'll feed them. See, they're eating the lettuce. Anyway, thanks to Jason Freakin Stokes, who I'm going to tag in this video. I did this video for you guys. That being said, this whole process goes away when you send your knives to Arkansas Infidel to sharpen them for you. He does a great job, and his actually do come out shaving sharp because he has the equipment to do that. I don't have the equipment to do that. I have enough equipment and enough know-how to get my knives to a little more than workable edge. So, cool stuff. You learned something, I hope. We did some sciencey things. You saw a huge number, or a small number, whichever. With that, you guys be awesome. Go out and sharpen some knives and cook some shit.